rigged, man, it's time to break free. Eyes wide open, gotta see what I see. Standing on the front lines, fighting for the truth. Lift the veil of lies, it's time to be the proof. Take a stand, don't you back down. Raise your voice, let's shake the town. We're the voices that won't be ignored. Breaking chains, yeah, we're ready for war. With the power of the people, we'll make them see a world of justice, united and free. United and free. United and free. Marching with a purpose, we're taking it higher. Fighting through the struggle, igniting the fire. No more silence, we'll make the noise loud. Together in this battle, standing strong and proud. Injustice fades when courage aligns. Rise up together, break the confines. We're the voices that won't be ignored. Breaking chains, yeah, we're ready for war. With the power of the people, we'll make them see a world of justice, united and free. United and free. United and free. So rise up now, it's our time to shine. Together we'll write a new paradigm. You paradigm, you paradigm. Whoa, whoa. We're the voices that won't be ignored. Breaking chains, yeah, we're ready for war. With the power of the people, we'll make.
Anything else you want to pick up before we agree on them?
Nothing else from the state.
Then we'll be in, then we'll be in recess, till 9 o'clock. We'll start right at 9 o'clock. The jurors are all here. Maybe just, they get here at 9, they will need to order lunch.
They are all here.
They're all here?
Yes, sir. They're filling out their paperwork now.
So we'll start at 9 o'clock. I put Kleenex up there too. Just-
I had a box in here. What happened to it?
Yeah. Do you think we need a box down there in case the jurors need it?
Yes, sir. I'll sit.
No, I don't.
Yeah, you're right.
guys can be seated, the jury remain standing, be sworn, please.
Gary, I want to use that chair back there,
Okay.
it's yours, and you can just sit in the roller chair down here on the flat. No, you can stay up there. While they're moving the furniture, if you'll just raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that you will well and truly try the issues to be joined between the state of Tennessee and the defendant, and the true verdict rendered thereto according to law and evidence, so help you God? Be seated. Can everybody hear me? Can y'all hear me okay? Yes. All right. Before we begin the trial, I would like to tell you a little bit about what will happen during the course of the proceedings. I want to describe basically how the trial will be conducted and what the attorneys, jurors, and judge will be doing over the course of the trial. At the end of the trial, I will give you more detailed instructions on how you are to go about reaching your decision, but now I simply want to explain how the trial will proceed. The defendant has been charged by the state of Tennessee with a violation of state law. The document containing the charge is referred to as a presentment. A presentment is the formal accusation charging a defendant with a crime and is not evidence of anything. The defendant has pled not guilty to the charges. She is presumed innocent and may not be found guilty by you unless, after hearing all of the evidence, attorney's arguments, and instructions of law, the 12 jurors seated in this case unanimously find the state has proven its case beyond a reasonable doubt. The first step in the trial will be the attorney's opening statements. The state will tell you about the evidence it intends to present so that you will have an idea of what the state's case is about. This opening statement is not evidence. Its only purpose is to help you understand what the evidence will be and what the state will attempt to prove. After the state's opening statement, an attorney for the defendant may make an opening statement if he should so choose. Again, statements of attorneys are not evidence. Next will be the state's case in chief, in which the state will present its evidence. The evidence in the case will most likely consist of physical exhibits, documents, and the testimony of witnesses. The witnesses will testify by answering questions asked by the attorneys. After the state completes its case in chief, the defense will be given an opportunity to present evidence through witnesses and exhibits. A defendant is not required to put on any evidence or to testify. The burden is always on the state to convince you that the defendant is guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. If the defense does present proof, the state may then put on what is known as rebuttal proof. After you have heard all of the evidence, I will instruct you about the rules of law that you are to use in reaching your verdict. The final part of the trial occurs when the state and defense may present final arguments. I previously told you that opening statements by the attorneys are not evidence. Likewise, closing arguments are not evidence. In closing arguments, the parties will attempt to summarize their cases and help you understand the evidence that was presented. After you hear my instructions and the parties' closing arguments, I will select and excuse the alternate jurors, and the final 12 jurors will leave the courtroom together as a group. You will then begin your deliberations to make a decision in the case. Your deliberations will be secret, and you will not be required to explain your verdict to anyone. Now that I have described in outline form the trial itself, let me explain the functions that you and I will perform during the trial. I will decide which rules of law apply to the case. My decision will be reflected in my responses to questions and objections the attorneys raised during the trial, as well as in my final jury instruction. It is your job to determine what the facts are from the evidence. You must then apply the law in my instructions to the facts, and from that application, you'll arrive at a verdict. The state has the burden of proving the guilt of the defendant beyond a reasonable doubt, and this burden remains on the state throughout the entire case. Keep in mind that the defendant is presumed to be innocent of the charges against her. Thus, the defendant is not required to prove her innocence, to have her attorneys make any statements or arguments, or to produce any evidence. Reasonable doubt is that doubt engendered by an investigation of all the proof in the case, and an inability after such investigation to let the mind rest easily as to the certainty of guilt. A conviction cannot be based on conjecture, suspicion, or mere belief that the defendant is guilty of the crime charged. Reasonable doubt is a high burden, but it does not mean proof to an absolute certainty. Absolute certainty of guilt is not demanded by the law to convict of any criminal charge, but moral certainty is required, and this certainty is required as to every element of the offense. Reasonable doubt does not mean a captious, possible, or imaginary doubt. A reasonable doubt is not a whim, it is not speculation or suspicion, it is not an excuse to avoid the performance of an unpleasant duty, and it is not sympathy. A reasonable doubt is a doubt based upon reason and common sense after careful and impartial consideration of all the evidence in this case. You, as jurors, must decide whether the state has proven beyond a reasonable doubt that the defendant has committed the crime charged in the presentment. You must consider the evidence in each count separately. You must base that decision only on the evidence in the case and my instructions about the law. An important part of your job will be making judgments about the testimony of the witnesses who testify. You should decide whether you believe what each person says and the importance of his or her testimony. In making that decision, I suggest you ask yourself a few questions. Did the person impress you as honest? Did he or she have any particular reason not to tell the truth? Did he or she have a personal interest in the outcome of the case? Did the witness seem to have a memory of the events he or she testified about? Did the witness have the opportunity and ability to observe accurately the things he or she testified about? Did he or she appear to understand the questions clearly and answer them directly? Did a witness's testimony differ from the testimony of other witnesses? These are a few of the considerations that will help you determine the accuracy of each witness's testimony. In making up your mind and reaching a verdict, do not base any decisions on the fact that there were more witnesses on one side than on the other. Likewise, do not reach a conclusion on a particular point just because more witnesses testified for one side on that point. Your job is to think about the testimony of each witness you heard and decide the facts. Some of you have probably heard the term circumstantial evidence and direct evidence. These are the two basic types of evidence that exist in law. Direct evidence is direct proof of the facts, such as the testimony of an eyewitness. Circumstantial evidence is proof of facts from which you may infer or conclude that other facts exist. I will give you further instructions on these as well as other matters at the end of the case. Keep in mind that you may consider both kinds of evidence which are considered to be of equal value in the law. The court will not provide you with a transcript of the testimony at the end of the trial. Therefore, you must listen very carefully to the testimony. Each of you will be allowed to take notes during the trial for your own use during your deliberations. You are not required to take notes. Independent memory can be as accurate as written notes. You will be provided with paper and pen if you decide to take notes. During the course of the trial, you should not talk with any witness, defendant, or attorney involved in this case. Please do not talk with them about any subject whatsoever. You may see them in the hallway or at some other location. If you do, perhaps the best standing rule is not to say anything. You also should not discuss this case among yourselves until I instruct you on the law and you start deliberating at the end of the case. It is important that you wait until all the evidence is received and you have heard all of my instructions on the rules of law before you deliberate among yourselves. During the course of the trial, you will receive all the evidence you may properly consider to decide the case. Because of this, you should not attempt to do any research on your own or gather any information on your own that you think might be helpful. Do not engage in any outside reading, visit any places mentioned in the case, or try to learn about the case outside of this courtroom in any other manner. I do not know, well, I do know. There will be media reports in the newspapers, on TV, or on the radio about this case. You are not permitted to read, watch, or listen to those reports. You, as jurors, must base your decisions solely on the evidence you hear in the courtroom. At times during the trial, an attorney may make an objection to a question that is asked by another attorney or to an answer that the witness gives. This simply means the attorney is requesting that I make a decision on a particular rule of law. Do not draw any conclusions from the fact that an objection was made or from my ruling on that objection. My rulings only relate to the legal questions that I must determine and should not influence your thinking. If I sustain an objection to a question, the witness will not be permitted to answer the question. Do not attempt to guess what the answer might have been had the witness been permitted to give it. Similarly, if I tell you not to consider a particular statement that was made, you should put that statement out of your mind and you may not refer to that statement in your later deliberations. You may not ask questions. It is the responsibility of the attorneys to present the evidence. You must decide the case on the evidence presented to you. However, during the course of the trial, I may ask a question or two of a witness. If I do, that does not indicate that I have any opinion about the facts in the case or that I have any opinion with respect to that witness's credibility. Finally, during the course of the trial, I may have to interrupt the proceedings to confer with the attorneys about the rules of law that should apply. In some cases, we may have bench conferences in the courtroom outside of your hearing, and in some instances, I may ask you to retire to the jury room while we discuss the matter out of your presence. I ask your patience because these interruptions are necessary points in the trial where we have to resolve legal issues. If, after your deliberations, you find the defendant guilty of first-degree murder, we will then proceed to a sentencing, and you will set the punishment. If, after your deliberations, you find the defendant guilty of any other offense or offenses, the court will set the punishment at a separate sentencing hearing. The jury will not be involved in setting the punishment in those offenses. This completes my opening comments to you. We will now proceed with the reading of the presentment. Gentlemen.
Thank you, Judge. Presentment, case number S-72-869, State of Tennessee, County of Sullivan. Criminal court charge first-degree murder, count 1. The grand jurors for Sullivan County, Tennessee, being duly impaneled and sworn, upon their oath present and say that Megan Boswell, on or about December 2019, in the state and county aforesaid, and before the finding of this presentment, did unlawfully, feloniously, intentionally, and with premeditation kill Evelyn May Boswell, contrary to Tennessee Code annotated section 39-13-202A1, and against the peace and dignity of the state of Tennessee, signed Barry P. Staubus, District Attorney General. Charge felony murder, count 2. The grand jurors for Sullivan County, Tennessee, being duly impaneled and sworn, upon their oath present and say that Megan Boswell, on or about December 2019, in the state and county aforesaid, and before the finding of this presentment, did unlawfully and feloniously kill Evelyn May Boswell, a human and being, said killing being committed in the perpetration of or attempt to perpetrate the felony crime of aggravated child abuse, contrary to Tennessee Code annotated section 39-13-202A2, and against the peace and dignity of the state of Tennessee, signed Barry P. Staubus, District Attorney General. Charge felony murder, count 3. The grand jurors for Sullivan County, Tennessee, being duly impaneled and sworn, upon their oath present and say that Megan Boswell, on or about December 2019, in the state and county aforesaid, and before the finding of this presentment, did unlawfully and feloniously kill Evelyn May Boswell, a human and being, said killing being committed in the perpetration of or attempt to perpetrate the felony crime of aggravated child neglect, contrary to Tennessee Code annotated section 39-13-202A2, and against the peace and dignity of the state of Tennessee, signed Barry P. Staubus, District Attorney General. Charge aggravated child abuse, count 4. The grand jurors for Sullivan County, Tennessee, being duly impaneled and sworn, upon their oath present and say that Megan Boswell, on or about December 2019, in the state and county aforesaid, and before the finding of this presentment, did unlawfully, feloniously, knowingly, and other than by accidental means, treat Evelyn May Boswell, date of birth November 21st, 2018, a child under 8 years of age, in such a manner as to inflict serious bodily injury, contrary to Tennessee Code annotated section 39-15-402, a Class A felony, and against the peace and dignity of the state of Tennessee, signed Barry P. Staubus, District Attorney General. Charge aggravated child neglect, count 5. The grand jurors for Sullivan County, Tennessee, being duly impaneled and sworn, upon their oath present and say that Megan Boswell, on or about December 2019, in the state and county aforesaid, and before the finding of this presentment, did unlawfully, feloniously, and knowingly neglect a child, Evelyn May Boswell, date of birth November 21st, 2018, a child 8 years of age or less, so as to adversely affect the child's health and welfare, and the act of neglect resulted in serious bodily injury to the child, Evelyn May Boswell, contrary to Tennessee Code annotated section 39-15-402, a Class A felony, and against the peace and dignity of the state of Tennessee, signed Barry P. Staubus, District Attorney General. Charge tampering with evidence, count 6. The grand jurors for Sullivan County, Tennessee, being duly impaneled and sworn, upon their oath present and say that Megan Boswell, on or about December 2019, in the state and county aforesaid, and before the finding of this presentment, did unlawfully, knowingly, and feloniously alter, destroy, or conceal evidence with the intent to impair its availability, verity, or legibility as evidence in an investigation. The said Megan Boswell, knowing that an investigation was pending or in progress, contrary to Tennessee Code annotated section 39-16-503, a Class C felony, and against the peace and dignity of the state of Tennessee, signed Barry P. Staubus, District Attorney General. Charge false report, count 7. The grand jurors for Sullivan County, Tennessee, being duly impaneled and sworn, upon their oath present and say that Megan Boswell, on or about February 18th, 2020, in the state and county aforesaid and before the finding of this presentment, did unlawfully, knowingly, and feloniously make a statement in response to a legitimate inquiry by Sullivan County Sheriff's Detective Tracy Haraz, a law enforcement officer, concerning a material fact about an offense or incident within the officer's concern, to wit, the disappearance of the defendant's infant daughter, Evelyn Boswell, knowing that the statement was false and with the intent to obstruct or hinder the officer from preventing the offense or incident from occurring or continuing to occur. The said false statement concerning Evelyn Boswell and the defendant's claim that her infant child was with the child's father, Ethan Perry, contrary to Tennessee Code Annotated Section 39-16-502, a Class D felony, and against the peace and dignity of the state of Tennessee, signed Barry P. Staubus, District Attorney General. Charge, false report, count 8. The grand jurors for Sullivan County, Tennessee, being duly impaneled and sworn, upon their oath present and say that Megan Boswell, on or about February 18th, 2020, in the state and county aforesaid and before the finding of this presentment, did unlawfully, knowingly, and feloniously make a statement in response to a legitimate inquiry by Sullivan County Sheriff's Detectives Michelle Gillum and Tracy Haraz, law enforcement officers, concerning a material fact about an offense or incident within the officer's concern, to wit, the disappearance of the defendant's infant daughter, Evelyn Boswell, knowing that the statement was false and with the intent to obstruct or hinder the officer from preventing the offense or incident from occurring or continuing to occur. The said false statement concerning the defendant's alleged lack of knowledge of the whereabouts of her infant daughter and her alleged efforts to locate her daughter, contrary to Tennessee Code Annotated Section 39-16-502, a Class D felony, and against the peace and dignity of the state of Tennessee, signed Barry P. Staubus, District Attorney General. Charge, false report, count 9. The grand jurors for Sullivan County, Tennessee, being duly impaneled and sworn, upon their oath present and say that Megan Boswell, on or about February 18th, 2020, in the state and county aforesaid and before the finding of this presentment, did unlawfully, knowingly, and feloniously make a statement in response to a legitimate inquiry by Sullivan County Sheriff's Detective Lieutenant Steve Williams, a law enforcement officer, concerning a material fact about an offense or incident within the officer's concern, to wit, the disappearance of the defendant's infant daughter, Evelyn Boswell, knowing that the statement was false and with the intent to obstruct or hinder the officer from preventing the offense or incident from occurring or continuing to occur. The said false statement concerning the alleged last physical contact that the defendant had with her infant daughter and Ethan Perry's alleged refusal to respond to her text and voicemails regarding her daughter following an argument with Ethan Perry about the custody arrangements concerning her daughter. Contrary to Tennessee Code Annotated, Section 39-16-502, a Class D felony, and against the peace and dignity of the state of Tennessee, signed Barry P. Staubus, District Attorney General. Charge, false report, count 10. The grand jurors for Sullivan County, Tennessee, being duly impaneled and sworn, upon their oath present and say that Megan Boswell, on or about February 18th, 2020, in the state and county aforesaid and before the finding of this presentment, did unlawfully, knowingly, and feloniously make a statement in response to a legitimate inquiry by Sullivan County Sheriff's Detective Captain Joey Strickler, a law enforcement officer, concerning a material fact about an offense or incident within the officer's concern, to wit, the disappearance of the defendant's infant daughter, Evelyn Boswell, knowing that the statement was false and with the intent to obstruct or hinder the officer from preventing the offense or incident from occurring or continuing to occur. The said false statement concerning the defendant's alleged last physical contact with her infant daughter and the defendant's alleged lack of knowledge of the whereabouts of her infant daughter, even though she had concerns that her daughter was possibly injured, contrary to Tennessee Code Annotated, Section 39-16-502, a Class D felony, and against the peace and dignity of the state of Tennessee, signed Barry P. Stavas, District Attorney General. Charge, false report, count 11. The grand jurors for Sullivan County, Tennessee, being duly impaneled and sworn, upon their oath, present and say that Megan Boswell, on or about February 19th, 2020, in the state and county aforesaid and before the finding of this presentment, did unlawfully, knowingly, and feloniously make a statement in response to a legitimate inquiry by Federal Bureau of Investigation agents Jeff Blanton and Todd Wilcox, law enforcement officers, concerning a material fact about an offense or incident within the officer's concern, to wit, the disappearance of the defendant's infant daughter, Evelyn Boswell, knowing that the statement was false and with the intent to obstruct or hinder the officer from preventing the offense or incident from occurring or continuing to occur. The said false statement concerning the alleged time frame of when the defendant gave her infant daughter to Ethan Perry to keep, since she could not handle her daughter anymore, and Ethan Perry's alleged threats to take the defendant to court to address the custody of their daughter. Contrary to Tennessee Code Annotated Section 39-16-502, a Class D felony, and against the peace and dignity of the state of Tennessee, signed Barry P. Stavas, District Attorney General. Charge, false report, count 12. The grand jurors for Sullivan County, Tennessee, being duly impaneled and sworn, upon their oath present and say that Megan Boswell, on or about February 20th, 2020, in the state and county aforesaid and before the finding of this presentment, did unlawfully, knowingly, and feloniously make a statement in response to a legitimate inquiry by Sullivan County Sheriff's Detective Captain Joey Strickler, a law enforcement officer, concerning a material fact about an offense or incident within the officer's concern, to wit, the disappearance of the defendant's infant daughter, Evelyn Boswell, knowing that the statement was false, and with the intent to obstruct or hinder the officer from preventing the offense or incident from occurring or continuing to occur. The said false statement concerning the defendant's alleged claim that she last saw her infant daughter in the custody of Ethan Perry on December 26, 2019, and that she had not contacted the police to report her missing child on the advice of Angela Boswell, the defendant's mother. Contrary to Tennessee Code Annotated, Section 39-16-502, a Class D felony, and against the peace and dignity of the state of Tennessee, signed Barry P. Stavas, District Attorney General. Charge, false report, count 13. The grand jurors for Sullivan County, Tennessee, being duly impaneled and sworn, upon their oath present and say that Megan Boswell, on or about February 20th, 2020, in the state and county aforesaid and before the finding of this presentment, did unlawfully, knowingly, and feloniously make a statement in response to a legitimate inquiry by Tennessee Bureau of Investigation agent David Gratz and Sullivan County Sheriff's Detective Sergeant Matt Price, law enforcement officers, concerning a material fact about an offense or incident within the officer's concern, to wit, the disappearance of the defendant's infant daughter, Evelyn Boswell, knowing that the statement was false and with the intent to obstruct or hinder the officer from preventing the offense or incident from occurring or continuing to occur. The said false statement concerning the defendant's mother, Angela Boswell, possibly having her infant daughter, but refusing to share with the defendant the location of her daughter and whether she had custody of the defendant's daughter. Contrary to Tennessee Code Annotated, Section 39-16-502, a Class D felony, and against the peace and dignity of the state of Tennessee, signed Barry P. Stavas, District Attorney General. Charge, false report, count 14. The grand jurors for Sullivan County, Tennessee, being duly impaneled and sworn, upon their oath present and say that Megan Boswell, on or about February 20th, 2020, in the state and county aforesaid and before the finding of this presentment, did unlawfully, knowingly, and feloniously make a statement in response to a legitimate inquiry by Tennessee Bureau of Investigation Agent David Gratz and Sullivan County Sheriff's Detective Sergeant Matt Price, law enforcement officers, concerning a material fact about an offense or incident within the officer's concern, to wit, the disappearance of the defendant's infant daughter, Evelyn Boswell, knowing that the statement was false and with the intent to obstruct or hinder the officer from preventing the offense or incident from occurring or continuing to occur. The said false statement concerning the defendant's mother, Angela Boswell, allegedly having taken her infant daughter in mid-December of 2019 and refusing to tell the defendant of her daughter's location, and that she allegedly did not call the police to report her infant daughter missing out of fear that her mother, Angela Boswell, would harm Evelyn Boswell. Contrary to Tennessee Code Annotated, Section 39-13, Section 39-16-502, a Class D felony, and against the peace and dignity of the state of Tennessee, signed Barry P. Staubus, District Attorney General. Charge, false report, count 15. The grand jurors for Sullivan County, Tennessee, being duly impaneled and sworn, upon their oath present and say that Megan Boswell, on or about February 20th, 2020, in the state and county aforesaid and before the finding of this presentment, did unlawfully, knowingly, and feloniously make a statement in response to a legitimate inquiry by Tennessee Bureau of Investigation Agent David Gratz and Sullivan County Sheriff's Detective Sergeant Matt Price, law enforcement officers, concerning a material fact about an offense or incident within the officer's concern, to wit, the disappearance of the defendant's infant daughter, Evelyn Boswell, knowing that the statement was false, and with the intent to obstruct or hinder the officer from preventing the offense or incident from occurring or continuing to occur. The said false statement concerning the defendant's mother, Angela Boswell, having allegedly taken her infant daughter because Angela Boswell believed that the defendant owed her money, and that the defendant's mother, Angela Boswell, had allegedly told her that Evelyn Boswell would not be returned to the defendant until the money was paid. Contrary to Tennessee Code Annotated, Section 39-16-502, a Class D felony, and against the peace and dignity of the state of Tennessee, signed Barry P. Staubus, District Attorney General. Charge, false report, count 16. The grand jurors for Sullivan County, Tennessee, being duly impaneled and sworn, upon their oath present and say that Megan Boswell, on or about February 21st, 2020, in the state and county aforesaid and before the finding of this presentment, did unlawfully, knowingly, and feloniously make a statement in response to a legitimate inquiry by Tennessee Bureau of Investigation Agent David Gratz and Sullivan County Sheriff's Detective Sergeant Matt Price, law enforcement officers, concerning a material fact about an offense or incident within the officer's concern, to wit, the disappearance of the defendant's infant daughter, Evelyn Boswell, knowing that the statement was false and with the intent to obstruct or hinder the officer from preventing the offense or incident from occurring or continuing to occur. The said false statement concerning her mother, Angela Boswell, allegedly having Evelyn Boswell at an unknown location, and that despite the efforts of the defendant to find her infant daughter, she allegedly did not know the whereabouts of her infant daughter and did not have any additional information to provide to law enforcement in their attempts to find the missing child. Contrary to Tennessee Code Annotated, Section 39-16-502, a Class D felony, and against the peace and dignity of the state of Tennessee, signed Barry P. Staubus, District Attorney General. Charge, false report, count 17. The grand jurors for Sullivan County, Tennessee, being duly impaneled and sworn, upon their oath present and say that Megan Boswell, on or about February 23rd, 2020, in the state and county aforesaid, and before the finding of this presentment, did unlawfully, knowingly, and feloniously make a statement in response to a legitimate inquiry by Tennessee Bureau of Investigation Assistant Agent in Charge, Chris Wilhoit, a law enforcement officer, concerning a material fact about an offense or incident within the officer's concern, to wit, the disappearance of the defendant's infant daughter, Evelyn Boswell. Knowing that the statement was false, and with the intent to obstruct or hinder the officer from preventing the offense or incident from occurring or continuing to occur. Concerning the defendant's mother, Angela Boswell, allegedly having given the defendant's infant daughter, Evelyn Boswell, to another person who Angela Boswell refused to name, and that her infant child was safe and would have a better life with the unknown person than with the defendant. Contrary to Tennessee Code Annotated, Section 39-16-502, a Class D felony, and against the peace and dignity of the state of Tennessee. Signed, Barry P. Stalvis, District Attorney General. Charge of use of a corpse, count 19. The grand jurors for Sullivan County, Tennessee, being duly impaneled and sworn, upon their oath present and say that Megan Boswell, on or about December 2019, in the state and county aforesaid, and before the finding of this presentment, did unlawfully, knowingly, and feloniously, and without legal privilege, physically mistreat a corpse in a manner offensive to the sensibilities of an ordinary person, contrary to Tennessee Code Annotated, Section 39-17-312, a Class E felony, and against the peace and dignity of the state of Tennessee. Signed, Barry P. Stalvis, District Attorney General. Charge, failure to report a death under suspicious, unusual, or unnatural circumstances. Count 20. The grand jurors for Sullivan County, Tennessee, being duly impaneled and sworn, upon their oath present and say that Megan Boswell, on or about December 2019, in the state and county aforesaid, and before the finding of this presentment, did unlawfully, knowingly, and feloniously fail to report the death of her infant daughter, Evelyn Boswell, to the county medical examiner, local police, district attorney general, or sheriff, where the death was from violence, trauma, or in any suspicious, unusual, or unnatural manner, contrary to Tennessee Code Annotated, Section 38-7-108, a Class E felony, and against the peace and dignity of the state of Tennessee. Signed, Barry P. Stalvis, District Attorney General. True bill was returned the 22nd day of May 2024, and it's signed Sally Sierra, foreman of the grand jury.
Mr. Scott, how does Ms. Boswell plead to each count?
Defendant pleads not guilty to every count.
Thank you, sir.
Right.
General, you have opening statements?
Yes, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
Good morning. Today we're going to talk about Evelyn Boswell for a few minutes. In 2019, Evelyn Boswell was a bright, growing little girl, full of life, healthy, learning to walk, learning to talk, doing all the things that a 12-month-old child would do. Which means today, 5 years later, Evelyn Boswell would be 6 years old. She would be possibly in kindergarten, learning to read, maybe taking her first ballet class or her first soccer game, learning to tie her shoes, all of the things that we think of that are firsts for 6-year-old children. But based upon the last 2 days of our jury selection, we all know that Evelyn Boswell is not going to do any of those things. We all know that all of that was taken away from her in December of 2019 by the defendant, Megan Boswell. And her life wasn't just cut short. It's not just a tragedy. Her life was violently ripped away from her. And we can all agree that it's a shock, it's a tragedy when a child dies. It's upsetting. It upsets all of us. You'll hear phrases like gone too soon, what a tragedy. A child had such a life ahead of them. And a lot of times it is a tragedy. And in this case, it's a tragedy too. But in this case, it was a preventable tragedy. There's so much more to this story that you are going to hear. Because Evelyn did not have to die. Evelyn could be here today. And so today, 5 years later, we are asking you to give justice to Evelyn Boswell. During this trial, you will learn that the one person, Evelyn's mother, Megan Boswell, who was entrusted more than anyone else to take care of her, to keep her safe, to protect her, that she failed her in the worst possible way. You will hear proof that the last time Evelyn Boswell was seen alive was December 6th, 2019. You're going to hear that date a few times during this trial. That is the last time that Evelyn Boswell was seen alive. And that was just a few weeks after her first birthday. And you're going to hear from many witnesses who saw Evelyn frequently, saw her all the time, family members, Megan Boswell's friends, that all of a sudden are like, where's Evelyn? Where's Evelyn? We're not seeing. They're concerned. And they would ask Megan Boswell about it. And every time, Megan had an answer. Megan concocted a story. And I'm not going to tell you now what she said. You're going to hear that in the proof. But she told all kinds of different stories, depending on the person that she was talking to. And you will hear from those witnesses today. But you will hear, or this week. But you will hear there was concern. But they knew Megan. They thought they knew Megan, I should say. And so they wanted to trust that what she was telling them was the truth. But it wasn't. It was not the truth. So after December, what happens next? We have Christmas, New Year's. Where's Evelyn? There is no Evelyn. You will not see any proof that Evelyn was seen at Christmas, New Year's. Then we jump to January. The entire month of January 2020, 31 days. Where's Evelyn? There's no Evelyn. People are really starting to get concerned, and Megan Boswell continues to concoct stories of where Evelyn is to try to help people make sense so she can keep this going. The entire month of February 2020. Where's Evelyn? Again, at this point, family is really starting to get concerned that they have not seen Evelyn. And they're asking questions. Months pass. We're not talking about weeks. We are talking about over 2.5 months that Evelyn Boswell is missing. The defendant is not even just canceling her well visits. She's no-showing. She's just not showing up because she knows where Evelyn is. But again, even to the pediatrician's office, she has to concoct a story about forgetting the appointment maybe, or I got my days mixed up. Always a story. Always a story. So we know now, we did not know then, but we know now that from early December, Evelyn Boswell, even though it had not been reported by Megan Boswell, Evelyn Boswell was a missing child from early December until almost the end of February. She was a missing child. And the only person who knew that, the person who was entrusted to take care of her the most, is the only person who knew that Evelyn was actually missing. And she just left it unreported. Over 2 months later, finally, Megan Boswell's dad, Tommy Boswell, finally essentially puts an ultimatum down on his daughter and says, I'm tired of the stories. If you don't show me my grandchild by the next day, I'm essentially calling the police. Well, Megan knew she could not do that, and she did not do that. And Tommy Boswell finally was the one to report Evelyn missing on February 18th of 2020. Finally, law enforcement gets involved, the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation gets involved, the FBI gets involved, all hands on deck to find this missing child. She's finally reported missing. But it's important to note that it was not Megan Boswell that reported her child missing. Megan Boswell never reported her child missing. So you're going to hear from December of 2019 until February of 2020, when it's finally reported, that the defendant's biggest believable story, that really is probably what kept the family from reporting earlier, is she was saying that Evelyn was with her father, Ethan Perry. And you'll hear a lot about Ethan Perry, and you'll get to hear from Ethan Perry yourselves. Ethan Perry is actually not Evelyn's father, but Megan led him to believe that he was the father. And everyone, for all purposes, also believed Ethan Perry was the father. So to the family, they're like, well, that's good. He's stepping up. The father's stepping up. That's good. We're proud of him. And that is the story that Megan Boswell told mostly to her family, to her friends. You were going to hear a lot of testimony about her just telling everyone that Ethan Perry has gotten Evelyn. First, you'll hear that they're trading weeks, but doesn't make sense because people are still not seeing Evelyn. So then Megan took it one step further, where he took her to court and got emergency custody, blaming her for something. And again, not true. There was never court. There were no documents. Juvenile court was never involved. It was just another story that Megan Boswell was telling because she knew where Evelyn was, and she had to keep perpetuating this lie. Interestingly enough, she didn't think it through completely because Ethan Perry at the time was in the Army in Louisiana. He lived in barracks, and I think we all understand and know that in the barracks, there's not going to be a toddler running around. But Megan Boswell, in perpetuating that story, she didn't care. She got the entire Army involved in this to go investigate this poor guy who was trying to serve our country in Louisiana. Pulling him out of his duty, I can't imagine the chaos that caused, all because Megan Boswell wanted to perpetuate this lie. And Ethan Perry didn't even see Evelyn in December. You will hear that he came in to visit his grandparents on leave. He never saw Evelyn Boswell over Christmas or over December. We all know why now. But at the time, Megan again tells the story, Evelyn has the flu, she can't come. And you will hear the testimony that no one, not Ethan Perry or anyone else, saw Evelyn Boswell in December. The hard part. From early December of 2019 until later when her body was found, Evelyn was always in the same place. And Megan Boswell knew that. Megan Boswell knew that because she is the one that put Evelyn there. She placed Evelyn's body in a kitchen trash can. Her own trash can from her home, from the trailer that she shared with Evelyn. And she hid that trash can in her own childhood playhouse on her father's property, a playhouse that you will see no one has been in for a very long time, and that it was Megan's. It was personal to Megan, not to anyone else. And you're going to hear that Evelyn was put into the trash can upside down is the best way to describe it, head down, in a bag of trash, filled with food debris, broken eggs, her body just placed in there by the defendant. you will see that there was a blanket tightly wrapped around Evelyn's body, pulled up over her face, and quite a bit of aluminum foil then wrapped around her head. The blanket completely covering her face, the foil completely covering her head. Upside down in a trash can, still in her purple fleece onesie and diaper. And as terrible as it is to say, you are going to hear that she just wasn't placed in the trash can, but then another trash bag was placed on top of her. And that trash bag was shoved down into the trash can, compressing Evelyn into the trash can. That's what we're dealing with today. And you're going to hear proof that directly links only one person to this crime, this horrendous crime. You are going to hear that the only person linked to this crime is sitting at this table right here. You are going to hear it from many witnesses. You're going to hear all of the stories that she concocted, the lies that she told, and you're going to hear forensic evidence that links the defendant, Megan Boswell, and only the defendant, Megan Boswell, to this crime. One step further. This entire time, Evelyn is decaying, decomposing in this trash can, again, upside down and compressed. What is Megan Boswell doing? Is she mourning her child? Is she worried? Is she scared? What is she doing? What would a mother be doing? Well, it's not what Megan Boswell was doing. And you're going to hear that because Megan Boswell got a new boyfriend, and it conveniently happened at pretty much exactly the same time that Evelyn disappears. When no one sees Evelyn again, Megan Boswell has decided she's just going to, Evelyn just out of the head, and she's moving on with her life. And she is living her best life, and you will hear that. She has this new boyfriend who has money, or at least she thinks he has money, and she's going to have a better life for herself. Not her child, but for herself. You will hear that she takes trips. She's clearly falling in love. She moves out of the trailer that she was living in with her child and moves in with this guy within weeks into his home in a very nice neighborhood in Bluntville, Tennessee. You are going to hear testimony that Megan Boswell is taking trips to Gatlinburg, to Pigeon Forge, staying at Margaritaville Hotel, all while her child is upside down decomposing in a trash can. You will never hear that Megan Boswell was upset, mourning her child, crying. All she does is continue to concoct lies to cover up what she did. Is that what a mother does? So you will hear that when Tommy Boswell reports, it's essentially all hands on deck with law enforcement. Immediately, law enforcement goes into action, and you are going to hear so much proof about how much effort went into finding this baby, how much time and hours worked by every law enforcement agency in North Carolina, East Tennessee, Middle Tennessee. Everyone putting their efforts into trying to find this little girl and hoping, just hoping, to find her alive. So then Megan Boswell then, of course, comes clean, right? Once law enforcement's involved, because Megan knows where Evelyn is, so she's gonna tell law enforcement, right? The answer is no, and you probably can gather that by General Harper reading the indictment for about 40 minutes this morning. Megan Boswell continues to perpetuate her stories, concocting anything, blaming anyone else, Ethan Perry, for a day, 2 days. She continues that story of Ethan Perry. Then you'll hear she admits that's not true. So then she tries to blame her mom, her own mom. She decides to try to blame to try to get out of this because she knows this snowball is rolling down this hill and she's trying to stop it the best she can. Why is she doing that? It's because she knows that she brutally murdered her child and she's trying to cover it up. And maybe she had that hope that Evelyn would never be found. And even to this day, 5 years later, Evelyn would still be a missing child. The defense said something really interesting in jury selection yesterday afternoon that I want to touch on. He said to you, you only have one chance to get this right. Do you remember that? Then he said, Megan only has one chance to get this right. Do you remember that? I submit to you, Megan Boswell has already had her chance. She was gifted with a beautiful child, a healthy, vibrant little girl. Evelyn was perfect. Megan Boswell already had her chance. So today is Evelyn's chance. Today is our chance to get it right, not Megan's. Today's our chance to get it right for Evelyn. I know this is not easy for any of you. Thank you for serving. I promise you that this is not easy for any of us. It is not easy for any of us. But it's so important for us to be here today. You know you're going to see pictures that you don't want to see. You know you're going to hear things that you don't want to hear. But that's how we tell Evelyn's story. What she endured before her death, during her death, and even after her death. And where she had to sit for months while her mother continued to live her life as if Evelyn didn't exist. Ladies and gentlemen, at the close of this proof, we believe you will be left with no doubt at all, that the defendant, Megan Boswell, is guilty as charged in every count of the indictment. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Scott.
Morning. She's right about some things. And this is a terrible situation. There's a child, 13-month-old child, dead in a crash bin. There's no getting around that.
Hold on just a minute. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to have you go with the officer.
Stand, please. So be seated, thank you.
Who are you with? All right. Are you the designated still photographer?
Yes, sir.
If that flash goes off again, you'll have 10 days in jail.
I'm sorry.
The order's very clear.
Yes, Your
There'll
Honor.
be no lights, there'll be no flash. That's disruptive to the jury, that's disruptive to the lawyers, that's disruptive to this process, and I'm not even kidding. If I see another light, whoever it comes from will immediately be held in criminal contempt of this court and taken to go jail for 10 days.
Yes, Your Honor, I'm sorry. I have it on not flash on my settings.
Well,
I
it
knew
went off because it was right in my face. Now, I got a feeling that one or two of them is going to go to the bathroom, which will mean it's going to take us probably 15 minutes to get started. So we'll take about 10 minutes.
Thank you. Court stands in recess.
I just want you to know that wasn't the fault of any of the lawyers or the parties. It was just a procedural issue I had to take care of. Okay? All right, Mr. Scott, I believe you were about to begin your opening statement.
Don't really know where I was at.
Just start over.
I was. that was the first line. I don't really know where I was at, but when Miss Massey goes, she's right about a lot of things. I mean, there's not a person in this courtroom that wants to be here discussing a dead child. Nobody. Not you all, not me. But the state asks you to convict Megan Boswell of first-degree murder. It's very interesting what they've done. They've asked you to convict Megan Boswell of first-degree murder in 3 different ways. They've asked you to find that it's a premeditated and intentional killing of her child. And then they're asking you to find that it's a murder that is perpetrated as part of child abuse. And then they're saying, well, if it's not that, surely it's because of child neglect. That's a problem. The state's theory is reasonable doubt in and of itself. They don't know what happened. They don't know how that child died, and they can't prove how that child died. I expect you'll hear from a couple of different medical examiners who come to somewhat the same conclusion, but one medical examiner, I think you'll hear from her, and she has a very interesting theory. But I would suggest to you that her theory is flawed, and the proof will show you why it's flawed. Just like yesterday I was talking about in Vordaer, I think I asked a couple of you about the scientific method. And if you put in incorrect data, would you get incorrect results? And you will, if it's data significant. The state asks you, I anticipate this medical examiner, based on her testimony in another hearing is going to say that this child was alive when it was placed in the trash can. But then again, the state says Megan's guilty of abuse of a corpse. Those theories are not consistent. They're not consistent with this. What the state hasn't talked to you about is the possibility of what if this was accidental? What if Megan or Hunter Wood rolled over on that child in the bed? And I find this unreasonable, honestly. I find it unreasonable that you roll over on your child in the bed and you don't call 911. And I'm 49 years old. I practiced law for close to 25 years. Mr. Harper talked about yesterday how your life experiences are different. Well, mine are certainly different than Megan's. When this child died, she was 18 years old. Now, you heard about what a great father Tommy Boswell was, and how involved he was. What you didn't hear is Megan had that child because while she was in foster care. That's how involved Tommy Boswell was. She was in foster care when she had the child. I think you'll hear a lot in this trial about how she came up. And I like to tell people, and I do tell people, I've never had a hard day in my life. I've never went hungry. I've never not had a place to live. I've never fought a war, and I've never lost a child. And I can't put myself in the position of someone who has lost a child. But that's what I'm going to ask you to do. Put yourself in Megan Boswell's position. She's 18 years old. She's got an older boyfriend. We expect the proof will be that he tells her, don't involve me with this. I don't want to be involved. Because they're scared they're going to get charged with something. That's going to be the proof in this case. And my reaction and your reaction would be different. I would certainly call 911. But I'm not 18 years old. And sometimes I think back to myself and I say, I would have called 911 at 18 years old. And I probably would. But I know a lot of people at 18 years old who wouldn't. Their life experiences are different. Their maturity is different. If any of you have kids, some of you probably know that. Now, I want to talk to you about about the indictment itself. We entered a not guilty plea to each and every count, and we're persisting in that. But that probably seems disingenuous to some of y'all about certain things, and I want to explain why. Counts 7 through 17 charge false report. And to find a false report, they have alleged that she has acted with the intent to obstruct or hinder an officer from preventing the offense or incident from occurring. Well, the case of the death of her daughter, the death had already occurred when she gave those statements. So it's not to hinder an officer in preventing the offense now, or from continuing to occur. That's the first thing. So you have to determine, is she criminally responsible? Did she lie to the police? She absolutely lied to the police. I'm not contesting that. Some of the stuff she said, again, are an 18-year-old girl scared to death, talking to a TBI agent, talking to a police officer, and trying to explain this. She doesn't want to get in trouble. It doesn't mean she murdered her child. It doesn't mean she killed her child. What it means is that's her perception that she's going to get in trouble for this. And despite all the assertions to the contrary by the state, This is a trial, and I want to choose my words carefully. This Masseyville talks about Evelyn. Now get this right for Evelyn. Get justice for Evelyn. And I want you to hear me out before you judge my statement. There's nothing you all are going to do that's going to change anything for Evelyn. Not a thing. The child is gone. Your job here today, and in the coming days and weeks, will be to decide whether Megan's actions are criminal or whether they're not criminal. I'm not asking you to find her innocent of anything, because that's not your function. Your job is to determine whether the state can prove beyond a reasonable doubt and to a moral certainty that she committed each and every element of the offenses charged. And you're not going to be able to do that. Their theories are absolutely inconsistent. Premeditated murder, oh well, if we can't prove that, maybe we'll get her by neglect. And I would suggest to you that the investigation into this case, once it focused on Megan Boswell, it focused on Megan Boswell. You'll see what little investigation there was into Hunter Wood, the boyfriend that they talk about, who looks like he's out of the picture. It's just Megan that did this. But we expect the proof will show you that he was involved with it, that he placed that baby there, that he had access to that property, that he'd been a lifelong friend of Megan's brother, Tommy Boswell Jr., who goes by Mikey. He knew where that stuff was. Now, there are other things about the body and how it was found that doesn't come out in the proof. I'll bring those to your attention later. But they will show you that baby wasn't placed in that tragedy dead. They will indicate to you that baby was probably moved. Also, I want to touch again on this Massive Gill's talk about Tommy Boswell. Tommy Boswell just had an epiphany. Well, he had an epiphany after they searched his property over and over, after they had run a cadaver dog by that building where the baby was and did a hit on it. Then one day he'll just pick up the phone and say, hey, I just got to thinking, Megan had this playhouse down here. Maybe you should come and search it. The cadaver dog didn't hit. Seems strange that the TBI searches your property and you want to say, search all the buildings. Look at the playhouse. Why? Why do you have an epiphany days later? I bet I know where the child is. You'll hear from him. You'll hear him explain it. You can make your determination as you believe. But ultimately, you're tasked with determining whether Megan killed that child. The child could have died of sudden death syndrome. It's on the upper range of sudden death syndrome, but it's still there. And that child, I think that child's date of birth is the middle of November. So when we say a 13-month-old child, the child was barely 13 months. Could have died from that. It could have died from somewhere around the open, as I believe. Just negative. And certainly, disposing of that body the way it was disposed of is not excusable. It doesn't excuse anything. It doesn't make it right. But it doesn't mean she's murdered. It doesn't mean that. I want to talk to you about there's a last count that we pled not guilty to on abuse or failure to report a suspicious death. And As indicted, the state chose to indict that where the death was from violence, trauma, or any suspicious or unusual or unnatural manner. Now, I can't deny she didn't report it. She didn't report it. There's no denying that. But what I would tell you is what that indictment leaves out is a key part of that statute. And had it included that, I would have pled guilty, had her plead guilty to that. And that talks about where the unexpected death of a child is severe health or sudden if death sentence. Had that have been included, she would have stood up and said, I'm guilty of that, I did that. But it's not included because the indictment wants to make it that she committed a violent offense against the child. Lying to the police, improper disposal of the body, or whatever part she played in that, doesn't mean she murdered the child. It means she was an 18-year-old girl with panic. That's what you have to think about when you hear this proof. That's all I've got to say to you. I thank you for your time and attention. I know I'll probably cross-examine you. A lot of you fairly hard the other day. And I mean no disrespect by that. I just want you to know in the jury selection process, I did that because we have to have jurors that, make sure that you can be a good juror. That's the only reason. I mean, absolutely no disrespect. If I was hard on you, I apologize for that, but I don't apologize for standing up for me.
Thank you, Mr. Scott. General Clerk, please.
Stay with call agent Brian Fraley.
Raise your right hand, please, forward, please.
State your name.
Brian Fraley.
You solemnly swear affirm testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes, sir, I do.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
If you would, introduce yourself to the jury, please.
Good morning. My name is Brian Fraley, and I'm a special agent with Tennessee Bureau of Investigation.
All right. Agent Fraley, how long have you been with the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation?
19 years.
All right. What is your current position or assignment there?
Senior special agent out of the Johnson City office, assigned to the Criminal Investigation Division.
Agent Fraley, were you called upon to assist in the investigation into the disappearance and subsequently the death of Evelyn Boswell?
Yes, sir, I was.
All right. And do you remember when that was that you were called out to assist in that?
Yes, sir. It was February 19th of 2020.
Okay. And what was your role when you first got called out?
Myself and other agents were called to assist Special Agent Brian Pritchard. He had been called to Sullivan County to assist Sullivan County Sheriff's Department on an Amber Alert on the 18th, the previous day.
Okay. And so when you were first called out, this investigation was in regards to a missing child. Is that correct?
That's correct. Special Agent Pritchard had been contacted on a missing person case that involved Evelyn Boswell. Tennessee Bureau of Investigation is the only state agency that can actually issue Amber Alerts. We were informed that the initial complaint by a family member, being the grandfather of Evelyn, was Tommy Boswell through Department of Children's Services, also known as DCS, who had contacted the referral to the Sullivan County Sheriff's Department. Sullivan County Sheriff's Department got that referral, contacted us, and Special Agent Pritchard responded after going through a checklist that is required. Instead of just a regular missing person or missing child case, certain things have to be checked off or validated in order to issue a full-blown Amber Alert.
And Agent Fraley, I know you work for the TBI. Were there other law enforcement agencies that were involved in this investigation?
Yes, sir. Once it went to a full Amber Alert, which is probably our highest priority at TBI, the FBI was called. Obviously, Sullivan County Sheriff's Department investigators were already involved along with Agent Pritchard. But once we were involved, we have a specific team just for Amber Alert cases out of Nashville that also involve other agents and intelligence analysts. The FBI has a specialized team of trained agents called a CART team, and that's a child abduction response team. And these agents are experts in child abduction, Amber Alert type cases. So within hours of the Amber Alert being issued and certified, there was approximately 40 to 50 FBI, TBI, Sullivan County investigators, and intelligence analysts assigned to this case.
So a number of agents across a number of agencies, all out there, essentially, at least initially, looking for a missing child. Is that a
Yes,
fair
sir.
statement?
That's
Okay.
correct.
All right. And so over the first couple days of your investigation, did you participate in or were you aware of interviews that were done with the defendant, Megan Boswell?
Yes, sir. Megan Boswell provided statements to a numerous amount of investigators early on, including me.
All right. And would it be a fair statement to say that she gave you multiple different versions about what had happened and where her child might be located?
Yes, sir. Repeated stories that we tracked down that turned out to be lies.
Objection, Your Honor. That's speculation.
As to the word lies, sustained.
May I continue?
Yes.
Just different statements that she had provided that turned out to be leads that we tracked down over the course of several days and several weeks.
All right. And I guess let me ask you this way, Agent Fraley. Okay, I'm sorry. Were you all ever able to locate Evelyn Boswell?
Yes, sir, we were.
All right. And was that as a result of information? Well, I guess go ahead and tell me how it was that you were able to.
So on March 6th, which this is fast forwarding 17 days since I was brought in with other investigators, 18 days since the initial report on February 18th, we'd been working around the clock. And like I said, there was 40 to 50 of us working, and a phone call was received by Tommy Boswell. Tommy Boswell had called in. And March 6th, 2020 was a Friday. And we had worked, like I said, 18 days. And we had come to a point in the investigation where we had decided we need a break. We had exhausted a lot of resources, time, and we were at a place where we didn't feel we should go on at that time. We should take a break, and it was a good pause point, if you will. So on the afternoon of March 6th, again, it was a Friday, the plan was the investigators to go home, reset. Physically and mentally, we were exhausted, and try to just get a sense of normalcy, if you will, over the weekend and come back Monday. If anything would have come up, we would have responded. But in late afternoon on the March 6th, on the Friday, Tommy Boswell called in. So we agreed, the four of us, myself, Special Agent Gratz, who's also another TBI agent, investigator Tracy Raz, who is a Sullivan County detective at the time, and investigator Michelle Gillum, who was an investigator at the time. We'd been working together for those weeks. We decided, let me back up. Mr. Boswell reported that he wasn't sure if there was a storage.
Objection is to what Mr. Boswell says.
Well, Judge, I'm not offering further.
Sustained.
Agent Fraley, as a result of the call that you got, and let's step back a little bit, Tommy Boswell is the defendant's father, is that correct?
Yes, Megan's father and Evelyn's grandfather.
All right. As a result of the phone call that you received from Mr. Boswell, what did you all do next?
We went to Mr. Boswell property located on Muddy Creek to conduct a search there.
All right. And is that property located in Sullivan County?
Yes, sir.
All right.
I think it's 539
All right.
Muddy Creek Road.
All right. Agent Fraley, in the course of your investigation while you were out there, did you create a sketch or diagram of the Boswell property?
Yes, sir, I did.
All right. If I could, I'm going to hand you a document, ask you if you can identify what's shown.
Excuse me. This is a hand-drawn document. It's a sketch of like an aerial view of the property there at Mr. Boswell's at 539 Muddy Creek Road, Bluntville, Tennessee.
All right. And does that diagram accurately show the layout or the placements of various sheds, outbuildings, trailers, roadways there on the property?
Yes, sir, it does.
All right. Judge, we would move to make that exhibit number 6.
Any objection?
No, sir.
We fully exhibit 6.
And if we could, I'd like to publish that to the jury.
Are you going to use the Elmo thing?
Well, and Judge, Agent Fraley may need to step down. I don't know if he can. I may need him to step down for the witness. I don't know if he can. If I could hand him a laser pointer.
Okay. He needs to, that's fine. As long as we can pick him up on.
I can see that.
Can you
from-
see it okay
Yes,
from there?
sir.
I didn't know if you would be able to. All right. Are you okay from?
Yes, sir. I can see that.
Shooting
And I have
it.
it in front of me as well
Okay.
on my screen.
All right. If you would kind of point out, I guess, the major landmarks that are shown there in the diagram.
Yes, sir. So this top house here is Tommy Boswell's, as it was described to us. This resident here was a mobile home that was described as his mother's. This is the shed that we had information on right there. That's like a yard barn or an outbuilding. And then here is notated as what we described and what was described as a playhouse.
I don't know what happened.
Hold on a second.
It's like it lost your speed.
Judge, it's not connecting.
You want to just do
I was gonna say, if you'll just hand me the.
You got it right. Let's stay up. Maybe the laptop just came back.
It did. Let me-
There it's up, Dan. There you
You need me to disconnect the laptop, Judge? or-
go. I can change it.
Okay.
There you go. Continue.
Yes, continue, please.
All right. So yes, right here, behind that shed or yard barn, if you will, was a playhouse, and it's noted Playhouse ROE. ROE is an acronym for us for Recovery of Evidence, which was the body of Evelyn Boswell. Up in the right-hand corner is my notes are like a key to this, which indicates the date, our case number, the location, and my signature with the date, notating that I was the one that drew this sketch.
Agent Fraley, you've got the driveway shown through the middle part of that diagram there. Was there any sort of gate or anything that, as far as being able to enter or exit the property?
I recall, I think there was a gate at the bottom from Muddy Creek Road to the driveway.
All right. Okay.
We don't need it. We don't need that.
Now, Agent Fraley, you identified an outbuilding that was there on the property. You had said that's where you went first.
That's correct.
Okay. And I guess tell us what you found or what you observed when you went to that outbuilding.
What was found there were multiple boxes of belongings of Megan Boswell that contained a variety of items specific to a young child. I recall there were clothing items, diapers, medicines, toys, those kind of things were the most common thing in those boxes.
Agent Fraley, I'm going to show you three photographs and ask you if you can identify what's shown in those.
And so the first one is the yard barn or shed that was described and depicted in the sketch. The home there to the right was, our understanding, Tommy's mother. The second, that's the first one. The second one is the same yard barn or shed, except in this one it has a picture of the what we were describing as a playhouse behind it. And then the third and final one is a closer photograph of the yard barn or shed with those items I just described.
And do those photos accurately show how that shed or outbuilding looked when you arrived there on March the 6th, 2020?
Yes, sir, it does.
All right. Judge, we would move to make those the next exhibits, which I think are 7, 8, and 9.
Any objection?
No, sir.
Will be full exhibit. How do you want to display those?
Well, I'll take another
Shot?
shot at trying to use the laptop.
General, which order did you want these pictures marked?
Whatever
I
they
want
were.
them the way you described them. First one, the yard barn with the home. Second one's the yard barn with the playhouse behind it. Third one's the close up to the yard barn behind it.
May I see those? Make sure I've got the. All right, Agent Fraley, I've got up on the screen what's been introduced as Exhibit 7. If you would tell the jury what they're looking at.
So this is the yard barn or shed that I was describing. This was the home that was described to us as Tommy Boswell's mother. And then the items there that you can see with the open door inside of the shed or yard barn.
And next is Exhibit 8.
Yes, sir. Again, the yard barn with the door open, showing those items described. And this building here behind the yard barn is what I described and is notated on my sketch as the playhouse where Evelyn's body was recovered.
Next, Exhibit 9.
Yeah, again, that's just a closer photograph of the yard barn or shed with those items I described placed inside there.
All right. Did you participate in, or I guess what did you all do with the items that were that you saw located in that outbuilding there?
Those were obviously photographed and documented as what they were, processed.
All right. Did you participate in that process, or were you just?
Yeah, I think primarily the two inside there actually searching, going through the items was Special Agent David Gratz and Investigator Tracy Arras.
Okay. Was that the end of your investigation, or what you did there on the property?
No, sir, it was not.
Okay. What did you all do next?
So we continued looking and led us to look inside the playhouse.
All right.
And we searched it.
And what did you find, if anything, upon looking in the playhouse?
There were, once the door was opened, right inside the door, as the opening of the door, was a trash can, like a tall kitchen model, common trash can, and 2 bags of trash beside of it.
Agent Fraley, I'm going to show you a number of photographs and ask you if you can identify what's shown in those.
Yes, sir. The first one I'm reviewing is a standalone picture of what I described as the playhouse that was by. Okay. The second one is a closer, of the playhouse, a closer proximity with the door open. The third picture is the same thing with the door open. Third one is a closer photograph with the door open. It does depict, the third one depicts the trash can with the bags of trash, as does the second one depicting the trash can. The first one, the door was closed. The next one depicting an open door with the trash bags and the trash can. The next one, assorted items that were inside the playhouse, and they appeared at that time. They had been there longer than the trash can and trash bags. Again, picture from outside the playhouse looking in where the trash bag or the trash can was. And it's a closer picture that depicts a black trash bag in the top portion of the trash can. The next one is a picture of an area inside the playhouse that had this assorted items there that again appeared to be there for some time with dust and cobwebs on them. Next picture is another picture from right at the doorway. Again, the trash can, the trash bags. Again, another picture of the trash can with the trash bag, or the trash bags. There's other items around these. I keep talking about the trash bags and the trash can because they were relevant to us because they looked like they had recently been put there. These other items had dust and cobwebs and looked like they'd been there for years undisturbed. The last photograph I have is this is my hand in the picture. It's pulling back. It's over the trash can with what appeared to be a leg and a foot of a baby or a baby doll. It appeared at the time with the fleece blanket and the purple onesie, the clothing that had been described to us by Megan Boswell.
When you made the observation that you made in the last, you described in the last photograph, did you do anything else with the trash can prior to the medical examiner's office?
No, sir. At that time, we didn't. We stopped what we were doing. We'd found we'd found Evelyn, and we made phone calls. We had called the DA's office, advising them that we'd found her. We've called our chain of command, our supervisors, and the medical examiner's office, along with forensic pathology out of Johnson City, and waited till all those personnel arrived.
Okay. And Agent Fraley, the photographs that you just described and identified, do they truly and accurately depict the scene as you saw it inside the Playhouse on March the 6th of 2020?
Yes, sir, it does.
Judge, we would move to introduce those as full exhibits at this time.
No objection.
The before exhibits, I don't have any of the work. That's the best I could write on that. Start at 10, I don't know where it is.
Ten through 19, Judge.
Okay. Judge, if I could, I'd like to publish those to the jury. All right. Agent Fraley, I'm going to start with Exhibit 10.
Yes, sir.
You would describe what the jury's looking at.
That's a playhouse that was located behind the yard barn.
And if we're looking at it that way, the outbuilding would be where?
The outbuilding yard barn shed, as described, would be to the left out of the picture back this way from the yard barn, or from the playhouse.
All right. And the door, as we're looking at it, that door was closed when you arrived.
Yes, sir. That's how we found it.
Next, I'm going to show you Exhibit 11.
Same playhouse with the door open.
Okay.
And if you look inside the door right here, this white trash can is the trash can that I was describing as I was reviewing the photographs.
Was as you opened the door, was anything disturbed or moved, or, I mean, did anything shift?
No, sir. Nothing fell out onto you. As you can see, there's a front porch there. It was opened, and it is as it's seen. Obviously, the trash can's kind of tilted the way it is there, and the other items throughout the playhouse.
All right. So the only difference between the prior photograph we looked at and this one is that the door, you all have opened the door so that you could see inside. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Next, I'm going to show you Exhibit 12.
Same, obviously, playhouse, just from a different angle. You can see the trash can there on the left, and those two, you can see the main portion of one bag and partial portion, excuse me, of a second trash bag, two white trash bags there. Obviously, other items, the blue tote, the brown piece of furniture, and other items there.
Now we're looking at Exhibit 13.
Yeah, again, there at the playhouse, just a closer angle or closer photograph
Okay.
right inside the door.
You mentioned earlier that it looked like or appeared to you that some of the items had been there for quite a while, and that some of them did not.
Yes, sir.
Is there anything in that photograph that indicates that to you or that you can see?
Yes, sir. So the trash can and the two bags appeared to me that they had been placed there recently. The other items, like I said, the blue tote, those other things, these right here, that cardboard box, these items back here on the shelf, they just look dated and like they'd been undisturbed for quite some time because, again, they had dust and cobwebs located throughout the playhouse, except for that portion right there, right at the front door.
Now I'll show you Exhibit 14.
Yes, sir.
What are we looking at there?
Same thing. That's right inside the playhouse to the right. If you just stuck your head into the playhouse from the doorway, this would be to the right. And again, these items you can see specifically on this bag here. Well, a lot of these things, it's just dust covered, indicating to me that it had been there a while.
Agent Fairley, if you're looking at the lower right-hand corner of the photograph, is that the door frame right
This
there?
is the right-hand door frame with the clasp for a lock. So yeah, again, like I said, if you were standing outside, just peering inside, that's kind of the angle or the view that's depicted in this photograph.
All right. Now showing you Exhibit 15.
Yes. The trash can again, this is taken from outside the doorway. This is me here. So the photograph depicts me, and then inside here, and the trash can with the black trash bag unraveled at that point.
Had Had the trash bag been pulled up out of the trash can, or was that
Just
as
kind
you
of like
saw
the
it?
top was opened.
All right.
The trash bag remained in the trash can, but the top was opened.
Now showing you Exhibit 16.
Again, looking inside, it was a very small playhouse. I don't recall the dimensions, but maybe 10 by 10, 12 by 12, small floor plan with that, and then those were steps leading up to like a little loft inside that playhouse. Again,
This is
another-
Exhibit 17.
Yes,
Sorry,
sir.
Go ahead.
Again, just another photograph of the trash can and the two bags. There's a keyboard there, piece of furniture. Again, the blue tote. Just multiple pictures of kind of like the same thing, same angle, same point of view. Just multiple pictures of that. Again, the trash can again.
This is Exhibit 18. For
yes,
the
sir.
record. Sorry.
Again, the trash can with the black trash bag inside the trash can, blue tote, other items there inside the playhouse.
Agent Fraley, there appears to be something on the inside of the white trash can. Were you able to?
Right there. Right there.
Okay. What is that we're seeing or looking at?
I can't see clearly what that is. I don't know if there's another piece
Okay.
of trash bag. Or,
Okay. And Exhibit 19.
Again, after this was that black trash bag portion had been pulled away, this was the next layer down inside the trash can, which contained Evelyn Boswell's body, clothed in a pink fleece onesie with penguins and a gray and white fleece blanket.
All right.
The portion of the body that you see there is her leg.
Okay. Did you in any way disturb or move or do anything with the contents of the trash can?
No, the glove in the top portion of that is my hand, pulling that back to confirm and take a photograph. That was the only thing we disturbed,
Okay.
if you will,
All right.
to take the photograph. And then at that point we stopped and then made the appropriate phone calls to the medical examiner, forensic pathologist, our chain of command, and the DA's office.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So what happened after you made those phone calls as far as the investigation was concerned?
So after that, like I said, all these people arrive, and our concern is to process the evidence. We did so at the direction of the forensic pathologist, and so what decision was made was on that front porch of that playhouse, which was just right outside the doorway, was to place a body bag there on the front porch. Open, they unzip and they open. So we placed a body bag there, and I brought the trash can out, and we started removing the contents of the trash can onto the body bag that was opened.
All right. And did you participate in that process with folks from the medical examiner's office?
Yes, sir. It was Laura Parsons, who works with the forensic pathology, and Dr. Matrina Schmidt, who is the forensic pathologist there.
Okay. And so you actually helped them and assisted them in removing the body from the trash can?
Yes, sir. Like I said, the body bag was there, and I removed the contents and the body of Evelyn Boswell onto the body bag where we could start processing what was inside the trash can, which additional evidence was in addition to the body of Evelyn.
And was this whole entire process photographed?
Yes, sir, it was.
Agent Fraley, I'm going to hand you some photographs and ask you if you can identify what's shown in those.
The first one is, as I just described, the body bag that's unzipped and placed on the front porch on top of paper. I think it was butcher paper we rolled out, but the first one is me removing the contents of the trash can, which included Evelyn's body. That's my arm in the top portion of that photograph. The second one continues that bag and the contents, Evelyn's body, being removed onto the body bag. The third one, the bag is out of the trash can at that point, and placed onto the body bag. The same contents, different angle, but it now has a evidence marker number 4 beside that, the trash bag and contents. Your Honor, if I need to slow down, I will. The next picture is the trash bag with me pulling back the trash bag, showing what's inside. That depicts a gray and white fleece blanket, and you can see where my hand is. It's a gloved hand. There's some aluminum foil there, evidence marker number 4. Again, a wide angle of the same thing once the trash bag has been removed. It's my hand there in the picture. It shows the body of Evelyn Boswell that's underneath these layers of items. That includes aluminum foil and the gray and white fleece blanket. You can also see some portion of the clothing. Evelyn was wearing the pink onesie fleece with the penguins. The next photograph is an opening of the trash bag that Evelyn was inside of, that shows different items in the bottom of that trash bag. Eggshells, fluids of human decomposition, and other items. That's my hand in the top, my foot in the top portion of that photograph. The next photograph is again the same trash bag with the contents that I just described, with the body of Evelyn to the right of that. That's going to be her head and upper portion of her body that's wrapped in this aluminum foil. The next photograph is just the body, again in the same state, with the aluminum foil, the blanket, the onesie. However, in this one with some body fluids that have come out onto the body bag, but there are also some pupa, that is insects, basically in between a larvae stage and an adult stage that were inside the bag as well. That's common with human decomposition. Next picture, same description, same things with that evidence marker number 4. Next picture, different angle, same description, the body of Evelyn, the aluminum foil, the purple onesie with penguins clothing, evidence marker with the insects there. The next picture, we start removing the layers at the direction of the forensic pathologist, the doctor. And this next picture is us removing the aluminum foil that was wrapped tightly around the head of Evelyn. And this is shows my hands and Laura Parsons' hands, who works there at the forensic pathologist office. Next picture, same thing. We're continuing to remove the aluminum foil from her head. So this is the first picture that shows the head of Evelyn and her upper torso, and her head is in a backward position, situated abnormally, where the body had been shoved, that we believe down into the bottom of the trash can. Next picture is same picture, body of Evelyn with the aluminum foil removed, showing advanced decomposition, some body fluids there lying on the body bag. The next picture is a same picture, the body of Evelyn wrapped in this this fleece blanket with the purple onesie, just a different angle on the body bag. Next picture, same thing, a different angle. And then the next picture is where, again, is describing how we're processing this, is removing it a layer at a time. So this is a picture depicting the first part of removing the fleece blanket from Evelyn's body. And then the next picture, it's a black and white photograph with the fleece blanket removed and just showing the body of Evelyn. Advanced decomposition, again, the pupa there, which was numerous of the insect activity. And then a color photograph, the last photograph, same picture of Evelyn's body and the pink fleece onesie there on the body bag with human bodily fluids around her head area.
Agent Fraley, the photos that you just described, are they a true and accurate depiction of the process that you all went through?
Yes, sir.
That night in removing Evelyn's body from the trash can?
Yes, sir, in the different stages of removing layers.
Judge, we would move to make those full exhibits at this time.
No objection.
This first one, 20.
First one's 20, I don't know where it is. And there's going to be more series of photos.
Yes. Well,
Count them.
yes. Yes. And Judge, I would ask at this time if we publish those to the jury. I'll start with Exhibit 20. Agent Friendly, if you would describe for the jurors what they're seeing in this photograph.
So this is after we removed the trash can from inside the playhouse. Like I said, this is my arm, and it's the first stage of removing the contents of that trash can that included the body of Evelyn. Next picture
Now
is
looking at 21.
okay. This next picture is again the continuing process where the bag is almost removed from the trash can that contained the same items. That's my hand there, and the top portion of that, Laura Parsons' hand here, who's from the forensic pathologist department.
And now Exhibit 22.
Again, my hand and arm here with the contents of what was inside the trash can, same contents, the bag with containing Evelyn's body.
Exhibit 23.
This is the bag removed and placed. This is the body bag I explained with the evidence marker with me here in the background.
And at this point in time, the bag has been completely removed from the trash can.
Yes, sir, it has.
Now showing you Exhibit 24.
Yes, sir. That's my hand there, starting to remove or peel back that trash can or trash bag, and the first portion of removing that layer that shows again the fleece, the gray and white fleece blanket, and then over here you start to see the aluminum foil that had covered Evelyn's head.
All right. So just so that the jury is orientated as far as the photograph's concerned, Evelyn's head, as you all found it, is in the left, as we're looking at the photograph on the left side.
As we're looking at this photograph, her head would be right underneath where my hand is, covered in this aluminum foil. It's still inside the bag at this point.
Now looking at Exhibit 25.
This is just the first photograph of Evelyn's body outside the trash bag. The trash bag has now been fully separated from Evelyn's body. Again, the evidence marker number 4. This is my hand here removing and holding the bag. This would be her head on this side of the photograph with her feet on this side of the photograph. Again, as I've described earlier, the head was wrapped in this aluminum foil.
All right. And just so we're clear for the record, when you're describing the head, that's, as we're looking at the photograph, that's on the left side.
Yes, sir, on the left. If you can see that pointer, that's where that's at, but facing that that photograph, the head's on the left-hand side, the feet on the right-hand side.
To reconnect the judge.
It has, but it's just got your blue screen. It's not doing anything. Your laptop may have low battery. I don't know if it's plugged in or not.
So, the ammo, Judge?
Well, I mean, I've got the blue string, but I don't know if it's, to me, it's not showing the picture. You should see what I'm seeing on the face. That monitor on the top.
I'm just gonna use the ammo, Judge.
So, yeah, push it all the way up. Push it all the way up. This 26.
This is 25, Judge. Okay. I believe we got disconnected, Agent Fraley. You were describing, looking at the photograph. Evelyn's head is to the left where the foil is that correct?
That's correct. Looking as we're seeing it, the left here, this foil is her head, and down near the item marker number 4 is her feet.
Once you back it up, on the very top of the top.
Showing you Exhibit 26.
Yes, sir. My hand here. Another set of hands, Laura Parsons here. It's looking down into the trash bag that the Evelyn's body was pushed down into, and like I said, there is just assorted trash, eggshells, human decomposition fluids, and then on the right-hand portion in the lower section here is that aluminum foil and the blanket with the body of Evelyn right there.
And that's right after you all had removed the body from the trash bag.
Yes, sir.
Now showing you Exhibit 27.
Again, a similar depiction of the last photograph, just it's a wider angle that's kind of showing the aluminum foil that's kind of formed around her head with the rest of her body there down to probably about her upper torso. Again, here talked about the aluminum foil head again, the rest of the body. Right here's what I'm describing as the insect activity of mid stages of pupa. That is basically in between the larvae section and the adult section of the insect typical as flies.
Now looking at Exhibit 29.
Again, just a different angle of Evelyn's body that's underneath these layers of aluminum foil, fleece blanket, down to her clothing, the purple fleece onesie with the penguins. And
At this point in time, you all have not removed any of the items from the body, is that correct?
no, sir. No. Again, what we tried to do at the direction of the medical examiner and the forensic pathologist was remove these in layers. As you see, that's each picture's best we could do is a layer, taking it through the trash can to the trash bag to the aluminum foil to the fleece blanket down to the purple onesie.
Now looking at Exhibit 30.
Again, this is kind of just stepping overhead, looking down. Same photograph, Evelyn's body with the foil and the fleece blanket and the evidence marker number 4.
Now, Exhibit 31.
That's the first, again, as I've described, taking this by layers. So this is us removing the aluminum foil from Evelyn's head.
And if you would, describe for the jury the processing. Was this a difficult process? Was it easy? How was the foil attached?
The foil was attached, it was compressed. It never occurred to me that when the body of Evelyn was placed or forced or shoved into this trash can, that this was a piece of foil that was just kind of put on there. This appeared to me to be formed around her head with the contours of a face, the eye sockets, how they're concave. This was formed. It wasn't just happened to be there and the body of Evelyn placed there and it just happened to meet up. It was formed.
Okay. So did it take you all a while to remove the foil from the body?
Not long, no. Like I said, once we got there, we Laura Parsons and I separated the layers, as you can see depicting in these photographs, and that's as far as we went. Once we got I think the next one will be the fleece blanket. But once we got to the body of Evelyn in her clothing, which was this purple fleece onesie with penguins on it, we stopped. And I'll continue at that point.
All right. I'm going to show you Exhibit 32.
Right. Again, this is just a next step, continuing removing that foil from Evelyn's head.
Okay. And at this point, it looks like you all have essentially removed all the foil.
Yeah. Yes,
around her
sir.
head.
Yeah. It's off of the head and being pulled away by Laura Parsons.
Now I'm going to show you 33.
Okay, now this is a photograph of where we're at with the processing with the aluminum foil removed from her head. So this is her body with the next layer, which would have been that gray and white fleece blanket. Again, what I described earlier, this here appeared to us to be this fluid here was just bodily fluids of human, consistent with human decomposition.
It's somewhat kind of tough to tell because of the way it's faced there, but is the blanket up there, is that around the head as well?
So the head is here. This is her right arm. She would be facing to the top portion of this picture, but her head was in a manner that it was backwards. It wasn't normal as I'm sitting here or you're sitting here. It was backwards, and that's hard to depict here. But her body in this photograph is facing to the top of the photograph with her head tilted backwards toward the bottom of the photograph. That's her right hand right there. That dark portion out of that fleece, that purple fleece onesie. And the color is very dark because of the advanced stages of human decomposition.
Now showing you Exhibit 34.
So again, this is the same stage in that, where this is on the other side of the body, this being the head, this being the hand I just described. The pink, purple onesie with penguins, and the gray and white fleece blanket.
All right. And again, from this angle, are we looking at the blanket there pulled up around the head?
Yes, sir. It's covering like it had been pulled up and over the head. So that is the head on the right-hand side of this photograph with the feet on the left-hand side of this photograph.
Now showing you Exhibit 35.
This is, again, same Evelyn's head on the left this time. Her body facing to the top of this photograph and starting to remove the gray and white fleece blanket from her body.
Could
This is her leg down here. That's like the foot in a onesie that has those treads, so they have traction when they walk. So that's going to be her right foot and right leg on that.
And now showing you Exhibit 36.
Again, that's the next picture of the removal from the of the fleece blanket, the gray and white fleece blanket with her body there. And you see, again, that's going to be her right arm there and her right hand right there.
Now showing you Exhibit 37.
Yes, sir. This is a black and white photo, obviously. Her facing the top of the photograph. This is her right hand. Again, even though it's black and white, it's the consistent with the pictures you saw on the purple fleece onesie with the penguins. And this is her head to the right side of this picture.
As we're looking at that onesie, had it been disturbed, or does that show the onesie as you all?
That's as we finally removed the fleece blanket. That's the next layer as we found it.
Okay, so the onesie was open.
Yes.
And, sorry, hold on a second. Now I'm going to show you exhibit number 38.
Again, this is the body of Evelyn. That's her head. There's her legs and feet. There's her right hand there on that body bag.
Okay. If we can, I'd like to go back. I'm going to show you exhibit 37 again.
Okay.
I don't know if it's
The black and white
yeah, it's the
photograph.
black and white photograph. Which, as we're looking at the photograph, where is Evelyn's face?
So this is her head on the right-hand side of this photograph. Her body is facing to the top of the photograph, so her face would be right in here on the back side of, kind of looking at the back of her head. Again, it's advanced decomposition.
And the fact that there was advanced decomposition, did that affect your all's ability to be able to, or how you were able to process the scene there?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, in conference and at the direction, the medical examiner, the team from forensic center there. Once we got to this last picture of where we were at, the call was made, hey, we're going to stop here. We'll seal her body in the body bag, transport her to the forensic center for an autopsy at that point. And we continued processing the scene there for collecting the items. And we took those items to the Sullivan County Sheriff's Department, just where we had better lighting, better environment to log and process evidence items that were also discovered.
You're gonna go from one set of photos to another set of photos?
Yes.
Just to leave that thing up.
Okay.
Because when you put it down, it electronically disconnects from the system. There's like, there should be a delay.
Agent Fraley, you described the process of, I guess, taking the other items, the trash bags that you recovered from there, removing them from the scene and then taking them to the sheriff's office. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'm going to hand you a series, so I believe it's 6 photographs, and ask you if you can identify what's shown in those.
This first photograph is a picture looking over the top of the trash can, looking down in it. In the bottom of that, the most notable item is a Martha White chocolate chip wrapper with other items.
Was that the trash can the body was found in?
Yes, sir, it was. The next one is a photograph of the trash can with Evelyn still in it at this time. This was an earlier photograph taken prior to the removal of Evelyn in the trash can. What's important and noted here is a piece of chewing gum that is attached to the inside wall of the trash can. The next photograph is after I removed the trash can and the trash bags from inside the playhouse and just set them out on the porch of the playhouse prior to going through the pictures we just looked at, processing the removal of the layers leading to the body of Evelyn. Just another picture, trash can. Evelyn still remains in there. You also see the chewing gum on the inside wall of trash can there, and the other bags of trash. This next one is the 2 bags of trash that was removed from the playhouse with the trash can. Another angle of those 2 bags of trash that was removed from the playhouse there on the front porch of the playhouse.
So were there any other items besides those 2 bags of trash and the trash can that were taken out of the playhouse?
Not that I recall. It was all the trash bags and what remaining contents of the trash can.
Okay. The 6 photos that you've just described and identified, do they true and accurately depict those items as you found them on
Yes,
March
sir.
the 6th, 2020?
Yes, sir, they do.
Judge, we would move to introduce those, I believe, exhibits 39 through 44.
Go, Judge. Before exhibits 39.
Not asked to publish those to the jury at this time, Judge. Agent Fraley, we're going to start with exhibit 39.
Yes, sir. Again, top view looking down into the trash can. And like I said, the most notable thing that's descriptive is a Martha White chocolate chip cookie bag.
All right. Anything else in the trash can besides that on the bottom? Is that
I mean, there's...
is that what was found when you removed the trash bag?
Yeah, so once we removed the body of the trash bag that contained the body, this was in the bottom of that.
Now showing you exhibit 40.
Yes, again, a top view again of the trash can that shows the fleece blanket and chewing gum there on the inside wall of the trash can.
And if you would, just kind of point out or
I'm
use
sorry,
the laser
yeah.
pointer to show what.
Yeah, so this right here, it's a piece of chewing gum that was removed, collected as evidence, and sent to our crime lab. And again, there's that fleece blanket that we've been going through earlier.
All right. So that was taken before the body was removed from the.
Yes, sir.
Now showing you Exhibit 41.
Again, this was prior to processing. This was just simply removing those items. That includes the trash can and these 2 trash bags from inside the playhouse. That's prior to laying out the body bag and removing the trash bag with Evelyn's body onto this front porch. But this is where all of that was processed in the field prior to transporting Evelyn to the Forensic Center for autopsy, and prior to collecting, processing, bagging, and packaging the items, the other items, to go to our TBI lab for analysis. Again, same.
Exhibit 42.
Yes, sir. Same picture, or same items, just different angle. 2 trash bags, trash can.
And again, that was taken before you all had.
Yes, sir.
Exhibit 43.
Just the 2 trash bags with the trash can out of the view of this particular photograph.
And finally, Exhibit 44.
Again, just a different angle of those 2 trash bags without the trash can in that photograph. And both of those, like I said, were on the front porch of the playhouse.
Okay. And those 2 trash bags, you all, when I said you all, I mean law enforcement took them and inventoried what was in there.
Yes, sir.
Later on, is that correct?
Yes, and any evidence that was collected that we believe to be probative was sent to our lab for examination.
Agent Fraley, I know you did and you've described a number of different things that you did in the course of this investigation. Did you personally interview Ms. Boswell during this whole process?
Yes, sir, I did.
And in the course of your interviews with her, at some point in time, did she make a statement to you in which she finally admitted that Evelyn, in fact, was not missing, but was in fact dead?
Yes, sir. On February
Okay.
25th, at the Sullivan County Sheriff's Department, Sullivan County Sheriff's Detective Jonathan Licklider and I
Okay.
interviewed Megan.
Okay. And at that time, she told you all that, in fact, Megan was deceased. Is that
Yes,
right?
she,
Okay.
that among other things as well.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
During that interview, did she describe or give any description of the clothing that Evelyn was wearing?
She did. Described a purple fleece onesie with penguins on it that she was clothed in.
Okay. Did she describe anything else that was with the body or with Evelyn?
Yes, she had stated she had wrapped her in a dark fleece blanket.
All right. And how did you? I know we've seen pictures, but how did you find Evelyn? What was she wearing, and what was
Those
she wrapped in?
exactly what Megan had described to us for the clothing and the blanket.
All right. Thank you, Agent Fraley. If you
Yes,
would
sir.
answer any questions, Mr. Scott or Mr. Brown.
The jury's lunch is here, so we're going to break. We'll be back about 1:15. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to have you go with the court officer.
I'll stand for it.
Be seated. Now, I've also got information that the witness that in question is out in the lobby. Do you want me to bring him in and give him a bond? Otherwise, he'll be in the custody of the sheriff. because the order didn't have a bond set.
I would prefer that. I'd also ask, we instruct him to talk to us before